Hi, everybody. So, I am just getting from a walk with my dog, and um, I felt this need and this urge to get on here and talk a little bit about the subject of masks. And you just heard him bark. But this subject for me I think this will be a little bit different than what you hear. And I was inspired too by a meditation I did this morning that mentioned it. And then I just started receiving um, this inspiration or this knowing about mask. And I just wanted to share it. So, how many of us put on masks? I think we all can relate that depending on where we are, we may tend to act different, or we tend to speak differently. Um, Maybe we feel differently depending on where we are and in life, whether it be work, around different friends, around certain family members. And then there are certain places where we feel as though there's this like calm where, you know, there's no attachment to any particular type of need to be anything. So, and in that experience, maybe that is by yourself, maybe it's with certain people, but it is what it is. That's what happens for all of us. And there are some fortunate souls who are able to be in that space no matter where they go. They may have no attachment to how people perceive them or how they perceive themselves. And they decide to be in this flow and be who they are at that moment, which I think all of us really desire. Is almost like a relief to be able to just be. And if that is talkative at one point, or quiet, or weird, or goofy, or jittery, just whatever it is at that moment. It's beautiful when we can actually feel as though we can be whatever we are, and whatever we feel, we can be with that within ourselves, but even in another company of someone. And so anyway, why do we do these masks? Like what are masks used for? So they're used for a lot of different reasons, but what came to mind for my heart, for me, was protection. They are used for protection because maybe you had an event in your life, trauma, big T or little t, that has taught you that if you were to reveal certain sides of yourself, it is not safe. So it's used as a protection mechanism. Also, approval. Maybe you have an achiever mentality where it has been shown to you if you act a certain way, then you get a certain level of approval. Maybe you have a tendency to people please, or you want this person to really approve of you, and that's where you get your sense of validation, which is something we all love, whether you receive it from yourself or others. I think everyone loves validation. Also, masks are used for professional tools. So when you're in a professional setting, you're expected to act a certain way. You can't just be in there like whatever, nonchalant, talking certain ways. When you're in this setting, you are expected to act and present in a certain manner. Some people even have to dress a certain way for people to send out a certain signal for respect and to receive clients and whatever that is. And they probably, and a lot of them, because I've been in this too, a lot of them have a really hard time with this sometimes, because they really deeply inside, and some people love to wear the suits and everything else, but some people, like, at some point, sometimes maybe they love it and then sometimes they don't want to wear that suit. They don't want to have to be this person just to be in this particular area, or to have this particular conversation with this person, or to get this client, or to keep this job so that they can make money, or everybody needs money. You got to pay your bills, you have responsibilities. So that is another reason. Professional tools. You're expected to be a certain way and act and present and dress in a certain way to get a certain outcome. Also, identity. Masks are used for identity. People tend to feel safe when they can understand who you are. And I think a lot of us feel like we have to identify with certain realms of identity to be understood, to connect with others. And because of that, we want to put labels on ourselves. This is what because people understand labels. People don't understand when you say, well, for me, like, I'm mostly plant-based. I don't want to say that I'm particularly any section, but they're like, oh, so you're this, or you're that. No, I'm not. Or like feminists, when people are like really believe in women empowerment and whatever like that, but they don't want to identify as feminists, but people want to put a label on them. People love labels. We love labels because we love to understand who people are, and we love to understand the person. And sometimes it's good to just be with that person, because all of us are multidimensional, and sometimes people change their minds. So identity is another thing. I think people like to be in a certain identity. It helps them feel safe. It helps them feel understood. It helps them connect with others. Masks are used to be understood. And this is what I just went over just now. Masks are used to be understood because it feels safe to be understood. And it really feels good. It feels like you're being accepted. And even if you're not accepted, it still feels as though like you stand for something, and you are I'll just leave that there. Like, to be understood. I think you have grasped it, and if you didn't, you can text me, email me, or whatever, and we can talk about it. Okay. So why do we do this? Like, why do we have these masks? Like, why do we do this? There are tons of reasons. But I think, and I believe, and I feel that they can probably be taken down to just a few. And this is what I have come up with, and I'm sure there are more. We do it because they become conditioned habits. So a lot of what we do is based on what we've been conditioned growing up, what we've been taught in school, what we've been taught in Earth School just by being out and about, and what is acceptable and what isn't. I remember someone talking about people who are autistic, and they struggle with being social because they have to feel like they have to fake who they are. You know, these are high functioning autistic people. They have to learn how to be social with others so that others will not feel like something's wrong with them. And I was thinking, or I pondered, I was like, you know, people do that on a regular basis. We're just better at it. Like, it's easier. It comes more natural to us. But for an autistic person, it doesn't come as natural. It takes a little bit more effort to be in social norms. So anyways, conditioned habits. That's one of the reasons why we do this. Worthiness. Huge reason. To feel worthy. We put on these masks and for these different reasons because it helps us feel like we matter. Like, it helps us feel like we, which is the next one, belong. It helps us feel like we are belong to somebody, like we're connected to people. And that's what we desire. We are people who, and some of us have, depending on what your human design is, some of us have even more of a need to be around different people and to really feel fulfilled or whatever. But I think all of us have, don't matter who you are, what your design is, we still have this love of belonging. So that's another one. Control is another one that came to my head. I think some people put on masks to control. Now, they can do this dark side or light side, whatever you want to call it, or you can call it neutral. It can be to have actual power over someone. So and it is actually manipulative, and it is definitely something that they are meaning to do. It's intentionally manipulative. And then you have unintentional manipulation, which I think we do a lot with people pleasing. And we try to control because we don't want, by pleasing the other person, because we don't want that other person to feel some type of way about us or whatever, which is still a realm of control because you cannot control what other people feel and their projections. And also you're doing a disservice to yourself because maybe you'll grab onto those people. I know everybody hears this a lot. You'll actually gravitate and attract more of what you actually want, being in that space of who you actually are. And we all do this. I think a lot, well, some of us more than others, but especially a lot of women, we have this issue with this. Okay, that's that. So how can we shift these? Like, what can we do as a daily practice to release them? Okay, there are some times where I believe these masks, it's going to be a little bit more difficult, like especially in a professional setting, to really release your mask completely. Like, you can't just be going in there, hey y'all, and blah blah blah, saying all this stuff, like, because you feel like that's you being yourself. You have to be, there's time and a place for different things. However, is there a way that you can just maybe ask yourself a question? Is, when you're in certain spaces, is it safe to release this mask? Because maybe you can ask, why do you have it on in the first place? And maybe that answer will give you a little nudge to understand that you don't need that mask, that you can release it, that you can let it go. Because if you're doing it to feel worthy, it's like, I'm already worthy. So why am I, you know what? Let me release this and see how it goes. And one thing about us releasing these masks is that we can give other people permission to do the same. And there's this big talk about authenticity. And I think people are questioning authenticity so much where they're starting to get anxious about being authentic. Because it's like, am I authentic? Did I give my full self there? Blah, blah, blah. And isn't it wonderful when somebody can be there with you when you are anxious, when you are feeling sad, when you are just feeling the way you are feel. So maybe you can just put in an attention out there to just be in a space where most of the time where I can just release. So do less judging of the mask, and if available, release it. Do less judging of the mask. So judge less of the mask, because I think we all judge it. We love to judge other people who are wearing a mask, and a lot of times they're doing it because of the reasons before. They probably have some protection issues. There's something that they are not releasing, and they just don't feel safe to be themselves. But for whatever reason that is, let's do less judging of that, and let's give people permission to be themselves by just being ourselves, and giving ourselves permission to be a little bit more vulnerable when it's available. And and just allowing people that space to be there, to be that, and allowing yourself first and foremost that space to be vulnerable and to be yourself. So I believe that this all is just very important, and it is a practice. And yes, it is not hard at all, because really it's just about allowing yourself to let go and releasing. But however, we make it harder, and it seems harder, especially if you've been wearing a mask a very long time and it's almost become who you are. And that's what this human experience is about. It's about shedding and releasing, and it really can be very difficult to actually understand that. And sometimes some people have to sit in silence to just really be there, or to really understand who they are. They need to retract and get away and really understand. And sometimes you find out through relationships and how you interact, and I think you can figure it out through all of it. And but yeah, just having that intention to release, and when it's available. If you would like to talk more about this, have more of a discussion, or just please comment below. And I would love to see what you think about the steps, why we do this, what they're used for, and how you can really take this and use it in your life, and shift how you interact with others, and most importantly with yourself. So it was good talking to you all. I know this video is a little bit longer than my others, but let me know if it landed, and I would love to hear from you. Talk to you soon. Bye.